This is UMAR AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I am at Ben Davison's house, joined by Ben Davison. How was your Christmas, Ben?
Good, thanks, mate. Yours?
Yeah, very good. Just
Good.
the usual.
The usual.
Yours was obviously in America though for the large part of it.
Yeah.
How was Orlando? Was it you went?
Good. Well, I stayed in LA for a few days, about 4 or 5 days. Went to Orlando for a couple of weeks, then went to New York. So had a good one. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay. Well deserved as well.
Yeah, and needed, very much needed.
Yeah. What did Santa bring you though when you got back home?
Not much. I think when you get older, it's a bit different, isn't it? So, but it's good to catch up with family. I've been away for about 13 months now. I popped back for Christmas Day. That was it. Went straight back to work the next day after last year. So this year it was nice to be able to catch up with the family and have a bit of time to see everybody.
Did you say you're getting old?
Getting there, I think. So yeah, feeling it anyway.
26?
26, yeah. I turned 26 fight week.
Oh, of course, yeah. You mentioned it in the interview with Coogan.
Yeah. I'm surprised Coogan's let you come in. He gets a bit jealous of me doing interviews with other people.
Well, it's for his channel, isn't it? It's not like it's someone else's channel.
He texted me saying I've heard UMAR's coming out.
Oh, yeah?
I said, well... He said, what's going on there then? I said, well... I didn't want to say too much, but we'll keep it between us, what we said about
Well, he's been busy. He had Billy Joe the other day, Eddie yesterday.
Busy. Yeah. I see them, yeah.
Good interviews.
Yeah, good. Caught up on them.
Obviously, a lot to talk about. So much controversy, the comments after the fight from people, but I just want to strip that away for a second.
Yeah.
Not even talk about the knockdowns. I just want to talk about Tyson's performance, because I don't think people are talking about that enough. Yeah. Considering the time off, the abuse to the body, 2 averaged opponents in his comeback fights, and the fact that majority of people write him off, to go out to LA and put that performance on against the biggest puncher in world boxing, wow, basically. Yeah,
do you know what it is? I think now everybody's seeing that things that Tyson's always said for his career, I think people are actually seeing that actually is true. He's not just talking rubbish. I know it's hard to talk about the fight without the knockdowns, but Tyson always used to say, to beat me, you'll have to nail me to the canvas. He'd always say that, and I think that was proof there, but it was a good performance, a very good performance. Was it the best Tyson that we'll ever see? Definitely not. How can it be after losing 10 stone, putting his body through what he's had to put his body through? He's not had a chance to even rest and recover throughout that time, and from that he's lost a light welterweight off of his body. You know, it would have been nice for a little bit more time, and I said that to him, and I said that to you actually after the Pianetta fight, that doesn't mean that I didn't think that Tyson could win. It was that it would have been an easier night's work with a bit of time on our hands, but he's so strong mentally, and he's a freak of nature, which I've said many times, and he proved it.
Yeah, you did say that to me. John Fury also made it clear, Tyson's dad, that he would have preferred 1 or 2 more fights, and now we can sort of see why. Because as good as Tyson was, it wasn't perfect, because he did get knocked down twice, so perhaps with the 2 extra fights he might not have got knocked down.
Maybe. Look, that's what it was. That the time wasn't for extra fights to get under the lights again and this and that. He'd done all that. That was what the 2 comebacks are for. It was mainly time to give his body time to rest from the weight loss, which will have an effect, you know. But still, you know, I still see it as many others do, that Tyson won that fight, and it was more than enough to beat what I see as his biggest challenge.
I think the whole world thinks Tyson won that fight, apart from 2 of the judges and Dan Rafael, but
and probably Ellie Sekback.
Actually, Lou DiBella as well. He's obviously come out and defended Wilder afterwards, but what did he say in the ring?
Lou DiBella knew what the score was in the ring. He knew Tyson had won that fight. And I've seen that. I think you can see and make it out what he was saying to Tyson on one of the Showtime epilogue, I think it was. Obviously, after he tried to defend the thing to me, but you can see through his reaction, you can see through Wilder's reaction and his team's reaction, they was over the moon for a draw, and that to me says it all.
Yeah, I know the video talking about it's where Roger Mayweather Mayweather Senior is like
Floyd Mayweather Senior.
Floyd Mayweather Senior is he's bemused that he's complaining, and he panned the camera around, and Team Wilder are celebrating.
Yeah,
like they've won.
And I saw another one pop up on Twitter yesterday. It was where the decision got read, and they're jumping about their hands in the air. Which, listen, they're nice people, good people, but I think everybody knows what the outcome of that fight was. And I know they say that you have to go there, strip the title from the champion, but at the end of the day, if you win a fight, you win a fight. It's as simple as that. And I see it as he won the fight. And one thing that's a big problem, which I keep seeing time and time again, which is absolutely ridiculous to me, is people say, oh, there was 2 knockdowns, so, that's 4 rounds. It's not 4 rounds, it's 4 points. There's a massive difference. Because let's say, and this is where a lot of people get it wrong, a lot of people in boxing even getting it wrong. Let's say the 2 knockdowns happen in the first 2 rounds, okay? That's 4 points. Let's make it very easy. That's 4 points for Wilder, yeah? 4-0. There's still 10 rounds to play for because it's only 2 rounds, not 4 rounds, yeah? It's 4 points, not 4 rounds. So there's 10 rounds to play for. Mm-hmm. Let's say, just for an example, Tyson goes and wins, or whoever it may be, goes and wins those 10 rounds. It's 10-4. So there's 6 points difference there, yeah? Now, let's say Wilder won 2 of the rounds. So take 2 from the 10, the opponent that's won the 10 rounds. That makes him an 8. Add 2 to the man that had the 4 points. That's 6. So we've still got 8-6. Then let's take another point. So we now got 7-7, which 113, 113 if one judge had it. We got a draw, okay? That means Wilder would have had to have won 5 rounds, including the knockdown rounds, for him to have even got a draw. And I've watched that fight many times back. I cannot see it, for sure. I cannot see 5 rounds being given to Wilder. 1 or 2 that you might say, okay, you might have liked his aggression or etc, maybe, but I can't see 5 rounds that I can score for Wilder in that fight.
So apart from the 2 10-8 rounds, you could give Wilder possibly 2 if you're being really generous? 2
maybe, depending on what you like, what you're looking for, where you sat, what view you've got. But it is what it is. We're not going to dwell on it. We didn't dwell on it on the night. I was very upset, but Tyson was very cool, calm and collected with it. I think he should be praised for not causing a riot there, which he could have done, because if he'd kicked off, not purposely, but it easily could have caused a riot in that arena there. And I think he deserves credit for that, the way he conducted himself, very professional. But, like I say, I was upset about it.
Throughout the whole build-up and the previous fights with Tyson, we've seen you're very cool, calm and collected. The only time your emotion did come out was in that post-fight interview with BT Sport.
Yeah.
But understandably so. And one comment that struck me was, for a man to go through all that, i.e. Tyson, and then take that away from him, you've got to be sick in the head to do that.
Yeah, that judge that scored it that way, that can only be one thing. That you can't watch that fight and get that score. You can't. I don't care who you are. You can't get that. That can only be one thing. And, it's not nice to see it in boxing. And people before the fight talk about my experience, etc, etc. Clearly it wasn't a problem, but it's my first time experiencing something like that. And it's Tyson's first time experiencing something like that. At that stage, at that level, after going through what he went through, that was it was definitely an experience, let's put it that way.
To be honest, after the Sefri fight, I was a bit concerned. Obviously it was his first fight back. I was worried though watching that, I'll be completely honest. However, after watching the Pianeta fight, when many people still had their doubt, I was like, right, he's ready. Because I could see things Tyson was doing that he used to do. And you were the same after the fight. John Fury was the same. And a few other people I spoke to ringside. But on the whole, people like, he's still not ready for Wilder. Did it sort of sink in after the Pianeta fight that, right, he's good to go?
Yeah, but what you've got to remember is you and the rest of the public and everybody else only saw Tyson on fight night. I saw him in the gym every day. So I knew what he could do. I knew what he was capable of. Watching the Pianeta fight, after the Pianetta fight, I thought, okay. After working the Pianetta fight with him, I thought, okay. That was when I thought, we've got to where we've got to now. Now I wanted him to have a rest. And I actually tried to make the Wilder fight to be a little bit earlier. But I made sure it was pushed back a little bit because he needed a little bit of a rest because of the amount of, what he's put his body through to lose that weight. But I was seeing more than enough in the gym to know that on his day none of these heavyweights can live with him. Time and time again.
What date were they looking at then?
I can't remember exactly what day it was, but there was a few weeks that I managed to get it put back to, and that was important. I felt like because he needed a rest after that Pianetta fight as well, so he would have gone straight from the Pianetta fight into a press tour, straight into training camp with no rest, no good, and it was important. That was
okay. Going back to the Klitschko fight, obviously you weren't involved, but everyone doubted him. No one gave him a chance. For this Wilder fight, there was a few more people giving him a chance, but on the whole, Wilder was the favourite going into it. The fact that, well, not officially, but Fury did win. Let's just say it how it is. Does it make it sweeter that everyone doubted him, everyone wrote him off, everyone wrote you off as well?
Does it make it sweeter?
Or do you not care?
Do you know what? That sort of stuff don't bother me, and it just people's opinions. People are always going to have their opinions. There'll be some people that still doubt now. You can't.
Really?
Yeah, there will be. Of course, there will be. You can't worry about what everybody else is thinking. My job is to get the best out of the fighters that I'm working with, and I know I can do that. They know I can do that. As long as I believe in him and they believe in me, then don't need to worry what everybody else thinks. And it's that simple, really.
Considering he had to take all that weight off, as I said, 2 average opponents would have come back. What does it say about Tyson as a person, not as a fighter, but as a person, to go to someone's backyard and put that sort of performance on?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, yeah. So obviously, I'd said to him and said to you, and like I said, that it would have been nice to have had not advantage. To have the pleasure to have a little bit more time for Tyson to have a couple more fights. Anyway, we had the rest started the training camp, and like I say, listen, Tyson on his day, I know and knew that nobody can touch him. And he said this time and time again, but people obviously didn't believe it. Well, some people didn't. People had their doubts in that. And it was a training camp, and we was going over, very, very thoroughly. I must have watched 3 or 4 Deontay Wilder fights a day. And when it come to fight week, that was when I knew that there was the big difference between the two of them. I knew how much stronger Tyson was mentally than he was. And I maybe overestimated his mental strength, but when you're looking at a fighter and assessing a fighter, you always have to picture them to be better than they are. What if they can adapt this? What if they can adapt to that? Because he's not a finished article. He's still learning. He's still improving. So I had to put him a few gears ahead of where he actually is, and I overestimated him mentally, I think, because looking back now, which I didn't say in the build up, looking back now, there were certain things that he said that I thought, you're trying to convince yourself of something that's not true, and that's a weakness. The difference was throughout the whole training camp, Tyson was realistic yet still so confident. So he wouldn't say, he would talk about, okay, if I was to get knocked down, this is what I do. We had Lawrence Okoli over for sparring. He was actually talking to Lawrence about it. He said, look, if you ever go down, this is what you need to do. This is very important to do. And talking about scenarios bad scenarios that could potentially happen. And he was very realistic about the fight. And when fight week come round and Wilder was saying certain things, I thought, you're not being realistic about it. You're trying to build confidence off of something that's not true and not there. He said, I remember him saying, Tyson said, "I'm going to knock him out," and Wilder said, "He doesn't believe that he can knock me out. This, that, and the other." And Wilder had convinced himself that Tyson didn't believe in himself, and he said a few other things behind the scenes that I thought, okay, you're trying to build confidence off of this, and that's a weakness. Whereas Tyson was like I say, very realistic about the situation, but still so confident and relaxed and calm. And fight week, I thought, I know.
Do you mean sort of like when people try and believe their own lie? Convincing themselves?
I don't know whether it's him, I don't know whether it's his team. Like I said, they're lovely people, but they was trying to convince themselves and build confidence off of something that's not true. They believed that they'd got Tyson early, and that was what they're bargaining on. I remember in the first press conference and in a few phone call interviews when Freddie come on board, he was saying, he doesn't believe in himself. He left Big Bear because he couldn't hack it. He doesn't believe in Ben and this, that and the other. Well, he was trying to build confidence off of things, and that's a weakness to me. That's a sign of weakness, and I definitely noticed that. And even after the fight, in the post-fight press conference, they said that was the best of Tyson Fury, but not the best of Deontay Wilder. How can it be the best of Tyson Fury when you've lost 10 stone and gone through what he's gone through, all in a short space of time? How can it be the best of Tyson Fury? So, yet again, they're being unrealistic with the situation, and he won't be able to improve Deontay Wilder until he sits back and can be realistic about it. Him keep saying, so before the fight as well, I'm going on now.
No, it's alright.
So before the fight, he was talking about the Klitschko fight. He didn't beat Klitschko. Klitschko beat himself. He didn't throw enough shots. Now Wilder's saying, I threw too many shots. I let my right hand go too much. I was too trigger happy. Which one is it? Until he gets to the point where he can sit down, be honest with himself and say, why couldn't I get that shot off? Why was I getting outboxed? Why was I getting hit with that? Why this? Why that? What was it that Tyson was doing? And then look at, okay, what was it that I was doing, or what can I do to not allow that to happen? And until he gets to that point, he's not going to improve. Straight away, I look back and I said, okay, why did not Tyson got hit with this because of that? Okay, what did Wilder do? What did he do to land that shot? Okay, so what mistake did Tyson make? Okay, so how can we change that? And that's how I look at it. You've got to be realistic with the situation if you want to improve. And I don't think he's being realistic and honest with himself, and that'll hold him back.
I hear that. Well, let's be realistic as well. As you mentioned, the time out, the weight loss, and Tyson still performed like he did. How many more gears has he got in?
It depends, It depends. We'll have to wait and see, because I've said a few times I'm looking forward to getting to see him when he's had a bit of a rest. He's allowed his body to recharge. It will add a big percentage to him. How would anybody feel losing that amount of weight? Some fighters lose weight coming in and they've struggled to make weight, and it has a big effect. Times that by to 10 stone. So for some fighters, it's 5 times as much. Some it's probably less, some it's probably more. It varies, but there's plenty more left in the tank for Tyson, that's for sure.
But I guess what I'm sort of trying to say is he can only go up from there.
Of course. And he raises his game to what's in front of him, Tyson.
We've mentioned that before as well. I think we talked about the Christian Hammer fight before Klitschko. People said he wasn't ready for Klitschko because of sort of Hammer wasn't good enough. People said he's not ready for Wilder because Pianetta and Sefri aren't good enough. But a bit like Billy Joe as well, I think they do lower their game, which isn't a great thing, but it's just that how it is. Like we saw in the Yakovov fight. I don't know how he performed against Charles Adamu the other night, but when they get to the Lemieux, the Wilders, the Klitschkos, then they switch on and they know it's on, basically.
Because talent can breed complacency. because they know, okay, against this sort of level I can almost do as I will, and it does have an effect, you know. I've seen it with Tyson. I've brought sparring partners in, and he go, look, $1 million, and the next day I'll be like, because he almost, not in a rude way, but he'd get bored with them. I think, okay, well, yeah, until they spring round and he'd go, okay, let me show you again. And yeah, they're both like that, but I suppose it's better to do that than to look $1 million against a journeyman and then not be able to pull it out the bag on the night.
Just a few more things on the fight before we move on. What was going through your mind in the 12th round when you got dropped for the second time?
Well, obviously, so in California you have to be sat down on a seat, which is a little bit away from the ring, okay? So you
can't be stood up?
You can't be stood up, and you can't be on the ring apron like in England.
Right.
So you sat down on the seat. Obviously, when he went down, I actually had the TV cameraman slightly in front of me, and I had a couple of commissioners around me. So I got up, not to run into the ring or whatever that some people have said. I got up to have a look at him. Okay, I needed a closer look at him. But as I went to get up, I had a few commissioners that jumped on top of me. So obviously I've tried to throw him. I've got into an argument to say, I need to have a look at my fighter. One of the commissioners said, I need to have a look at him. I said, well, I know him better than anybody else. I need to have a look at him. So I've ended up in this wrestling match, and not to stop the fight, which, don't get me wrong, if I felt I would have needed to, I would have, because that's the most important thing, is the health and safety of the fighters. Of course. Don't tell Tyson that, but I got up to have a look. By the time this had gone on, I saw Tyson just rise to his feet like the Terminator. I looked round, and then when the ref asked him, because the ref had said to us in the dressing room before, when you get up, we will ask you to go either to your left or to your right to make sure your balance is there. So when he got up and he asked Tyson to go, I was trying to have a look, and I saw that Tyson was there, and I thought, okay, but I know Deontay Wilder is a very formidable finisher. So I was watching with a keen eye very closely, and then obviously Tyson pulled out a big left hook and a right hand left hook on top of it.
Nearly knocked him out.
Exactly, and then started dominating the round. So he's definitely a one-off, that's for sure.
I think it's fair to say everyone who saw that at the time was like, that's it. I thought he was out cold. When you actually watch it back, he was riding the shot on the way down, which is incredible to have the presence of mind to do that. But obviously live watching it, I'm sure it was with you guys as well. Do you think it was over?
Well, like I say, I had the TV cameraman in the way, so when he went over, I could see him laid down, so I've got up to have a look. So I couldn't actually have too much time to have a look, which I think is something that needs to be assessed in the California State Commission, because for not that I was going to stop the fight, but for the trainer to stop the fight, this as I was informed before, for the trainer to stop the fight, I have to tell the commissioner, who will then go up the stairs to then inform the referee. By the time this has happened, the fighter could be back on his feet and take shots that he doesn't need to take. So when Tyson went down, like I say, the cameraman was there. I wanted to have a closer look, see how he was, but I've ended up in a wrestling match with the commissioners. They didn't want me to have a look for some reason. So by the time that had all gone, he was back to his feet. But that is something that needs addressing by the California State Athletic Commission, because the trainer needs to be able to have a look at his fighter in a situation like that, and the trainer needs to be able to, if I see something, I need to be able to finish the fight and end the fight there and then. Because like I say, by the time I tell the commissioner, by the time he gets up the stairs, 3 or 4 shots could have been landed that didn't need to be taken, and they can be fatal shots and dangerous. So I think that's something that definitely needs to be looked into. I understand that it needs to be done, if a trainer is to have a look, it needs to be done cool, calm, collected, peacefully, and not in a rowdy way. But they caused the scene, to be honest with you. I just got up to have a look at my fighter, which I needed to do, obviously.
Of course. Okay, so in your corner, you obviously were leading the charge, but you had Ricky Hatton, Freddie Roach, and Asgi. Let's not forget him. Big shout out to Asgi.
Asgi is a very, very, very professional at what he does. He's and to be honest, which we didn't holler and shout about, and I'm not saying they've done anything on purpose. They had very thick underlay when we first went to check the ring, and like I say, I'm not saying that they did it on purpose or anything like that. They were just saying, look, they're big men. We're going to use thicker underlay, but obviously it didn't suit us. So Aski made sure he stayed behind and managed to get that changed. And Aski's very professional, you know. He's like go gadget because Inspector Gadget, because if I say, oh, have you got this, he'll pull it out, or if you got that, bang, he'll pull it out. He's very, very professional, and he's a very, very important part of the team.
He's been Team Fury from day dot as well.
For a long time, yeah.
Yeah, as I said, you had Ricky Hatton and Freddie Roach in the corner. How did it go with those guys on the night?
Very good. You know, as you can see, BT Sport put something out about the corner work and that, you know, so you could see how it went. Listen, I'm Tyson's trainer. I give the instructions. What better seconds could you have than them two? And actually, Ricky gave a very key bit of advice during Isaac's fight. I asked Isaac to do something in the early part of the rounds, and Ricky leant over to me and said, do you think it's time for him to start to add the second phase on? Yep. We added the second phase on, and that was Isaac went and got his stoppage. And you know, although Ricky was a really good fighter, sometimes he probably one of, if not the best British fighter that's ever come out of this country. He only got beat by the two best pound for pound men.
No shame in that.
No, at all. And he went to their backyards. Although that, it doesn't always transfer over to being a fantastic trainer. But Ricky's got a very, very good eye for it from outside the ring as well. And let's not forget, he's won world titles as a trainer as well. So, which I think a lot of people
overlook
yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Right. Mentioning Freddie Roach, there has been a lot.
I know you've been waiting for it.
Got to ask you.
Yeah, of course.
You know what? There's a lot of people have been making comments about the fight that's caught a lot of publicity. But let's start with Freddie Roach. If you haven't seen the comments, I'm sure people watching this have, but you can find it on YouTube. What was your sort of initial reaction when you heard what he had to say about you?
I was shocked at first, obviously. I thought, oh, that's surprising. And obviously before, I discussed with Freddie. I said, look, this is the game plan that I'm coming with. What I think will work. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. We all agreed. And when I saw it, I thought, okay, no problem. But listen, every trainer has their own philosophy. I've got my own philosophy. He'll have his. It'll work for some, won't work for others. But I'm confident that we went there with the right game plan.
Well, you won.
Well, exactly. And you know, I think both fighters probably pulled out their best performance of their career in Isaac and Tyson. So I think that speaks a lot for itself. But like I say, my sort of style, I focus more on the art of hitting and not getting hit. And I think that's why mine and Tyson's style gels. Maybe Tyson's and Freddie's may not gel as well. But obviously Freddie's a Hall of Fame trainer, a legend in the game. He's had many, many world champions, and you can only take that advice and respect it. And that's it, really, you know. Freddie rang me. I spoke to him. He said that it was sort of took out of context. He didn't mean it as it come across. I said, look, it's not a problem. Obviously, like I said, listen, you're going to have your own opinion and your own philosophies, and I have mine. It's not a problem. It is what it is, but like I said, I've got a lot of respect for Freddie because he's a legend in the game, and it's as simple as that, really.
I think, yeah, it does. That's a good point about the styles. You know, if you were training Manny Pacquiao, it might not work just because of the way he fights. But your training style and Tyson and Isaac, the way they box, it would make sense, and we've seen the proof of it now. It does work. So that's a good point. I haven't really seen people say that. But just lastly on Freddie Roach, have you there's no animosity there, is there?
No, he gave me a call, not a problem. Him and his assistant Marie were very, very helpful.
just picking this back up with Ben Davison. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, him and his assistant Marie were very accommodating while we was over there, very helpful, and we appreciated it a hell of a lot. So there's no animosity. What was I going to say? There was also a point he made about asking Isaac and Tyson to do the same thing. Just on that point, they was both boxing punchers. Both men could punch. And I like fighters to do a certain something in the first few rounds to help negate that. So I asked them both to do a couple of things that were very similar. Now they don't box the same way, and if you watch the fights you can see they don't box the same way. And there were certain things I asked Isaac to do that I didn't ask Tyson to do, and there were certain things I asked Tyson to do that I didn't ask Isaac to do. But obviously there were some things that I asked them to do the same because, like I say, they were both boxing punchers, and I like my fighters to do something in the first few rounds to help negate that and make the puncher predictable.
Actually, just one more on this. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, especially someone like Freddie Roach, but why don't you just go and have a phone call with you if he did have something to say?
Well, listen, that's what some people said, but listen, he shared his opinion. I'm sure there's been hundreds of other trainers that have done an interview and expressed what their opinion would have been on the fight. That was Freddie expressing his opinion.
Yeah, but he's part of the team.
But it is what it is. He's like I say, there's no animosity. He's got his views. I've got mine. Ricky'll have his that he'll think that maybe could have made some adjustments there that he would like to have seen. But that you're going to get that when you've got three guys that are used to being the head trainer. You're going to have this different, like I say, different philosophies and different ideas. But obviously I'm Tyson's trainer, and what I say goes in the end.
Of course. Okay, there's a few more comments that came after the fight that we got to talk about.
Yeah.
I did an interview with Eddie Hearn on Kell Brook fight week. So this was not a couple of days, I think a week after the fight. And he said Wilder Fury wasn't a great fight. Now, he did praise Fury. Like he said, he won the fight. He surprised him. He proved him wrong again, just like the Klitschko fight. But he said it wasn't a great fight. What's your sort of take on that comment?
Well, the same again. He got his own views. Others have their own views. For it to be nominated by Ring Magazine, I think that would show that enough people see it as a great fight for it to be nominated in that. Obviously, my view was that it was a great fight, but he's entitled to his opinion. He thinks it wasn't a great fight. It was a very good fight, apparently. But like I say, listen, I think more would disagree with that than would agree with it. Let's put it that way.
Well, judging from the comment section, I think you're right. His fighter as well, Anthony Joshua, has had his take on things as well. I saw an interview with him on DAZN. I think it was last night I watched it. He said he wasn't sure Tyson Fury won. Do you really think he believes that?
No, but no, obviously he's looking to make that Deontay Wilder fight, supposedly, and he wants to make sure that Deontay still keeps his credibility for if they can make that fight, if that fight does come around. Like I say, I'm sure, same again, more would disagree with that than would agree with it, but same again, he's entitled to his opinion.
One more from Joshua. He did an interview out in the States with Max Kellerman where he said sort of the interest in the lineal status or title, whatever you want to call it, isn't there from his side. He's not really interested for fighting for it, basically. He said he wants to fight Tyson Fury, but he doesn't care about the lineal status and title. Yeah, again, what do you make of that?
It's something for a boxing historian, you know, because like I say, there's been a lot more fighters that have won alphabet titles than have won lineal status. And it means a lot to Tyson that because he's a real boxing historian, especially a heavyweight historian. So it's a big thing to him, and I'm sure if he was managed to make himself a lineal champion, which goes down in history, and he's got a very, very thorough history behind it. I'm sure he'd be over the moon with it, but if his hands are to try and get his hands on, if his goals are to try and get his hands on that WBC title, then no problem. I think it's about time that they make that fight. I think that the problem is here. Okay, my view on this, with them making this fight, is they're looking at it too much in a business way. Now it depends what your goal is. Is your goal to make as much money as possible? Then yeah, negotiate it out, argue it out, fight to the death over the last few percent, whatever it is. In my eyes, if you want to make that fight, it's 50-50.
What, Joshua Wilder?
Yeah. If two champions are coming together, it's 50-50 if you want to make that fight. Because otherwise we'll end up in a situation where we did similar with Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe, where we may never see that fight.
Hatton Witter.
Yeah, and I think that I believe that Joshua wants to fight. I believe that he wants that fight, but I believe that maybe, I don't know if it's his views or his team's views, will say to him, okay, so this is what you're worth, this is your worth, and this is Wilder's worth. Which means if this fight generates this, you should earn this. Your money should. I actually saw it where he said, you know, my earning percentage should go up in similar.
With Sky Sports he did that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
Now, okay, but is it just purely business to you? Because if it is, no problem. But you may never get that fight. If it's about credibility and status, I'm sure all of them have got plenty in full. They're not worried about an extra few percent here and a few percent there when the fight's worth what that fight's worth. Between all three of them. But if he wants to fight these other two, it's going to have to be 50-50 because neither of them are going to take it. They're all alpha males. No one wants to give an inch. And it may be different if he was earning Floyd Mayweather money. He may be able to turn around and say, there's 50 million, there's 75 million, there's 100 million. It may be different. I can't speak for them and make choices for them, but it may be different. But he doesn't earn Floyd Mayweather money. So he's not in a position to do that. And that's it really. If he wants to make them fights, it's 50-50. But I think they need to stop looking at it as so much business and argue over percentage. This man's worth this, that man's worth that. His biggest payday is with them two. And them two's biggest payday is with him. Everybody's earning plenty in full. Let the fans get what the fans want. That's how I see it. And no one's going to be short of a few quid after, are they? So if they want the fight, that's how I see it. And it depends on how much they want it. If an extra few quid means more than that fight happening, so be it. But if they want the fight, then that's how it's going to have to be. I see it.
Okay, obviously Joshua is the other guy in the picture. We've had Fury Wilder. Joshua hasn't obviously fought either of them two. He's got a date booked April 13th at Wembley, as we know. In an ideal world for you, from Tyson's perspective, would you like Joshua and Wilder to box first, or do you want that rematch for Wilder?
You have to see, in our situation for this rematch, we have to weigh up risk and reward. The reward has to match the risk, and we've seen what the risk is. We already went and done it, which we knew was a big risk, and yes, very well rewarded for it. But for that to happen, but now it's clear that that's the situation. The situation is what it is over there. Okay, we feel we've been done unjustly. So, like I say, we have to weigh up the risk versus reward. Now, for that to happen, it's a big risk, which we've already seen, a big risk for it to happen. So it needs to be a big reward. But Tyson had 2.5 years out, come back and stepped straight up to the plate. The fight was made, so Wilder was game, Tyson was game. Both is well paid, and like I just said about if they want to see them fights, it's going to have to be done in a certain way because No one's going to allow one to have more and the other one to have less. They could get a fight on. Over that 2.5 period that Tyson was out, them two haven't been able to get a fight on. And me personally, I just think it's a shame, and it's time that they get. I want to see the fight.
Of course you do.
I want to see the fight. And Tyson's already stepped up to the game, and I don't think it's right that Tyson keeps being the one to step up. I think he's come showing them how it is. Like I say, obviously it's potential the rematch, but the difference is that they need the rematch. Wilder's team, they need it because he's not looked at as champion. His credibility, although his stock has raised, his name is more, people are more aware of who he is, but his credibility as champion has dropped because a higher percentage of people believe that Tyson won the fight than don't. So they need that fight to rebuild their credibility, whereas we just want it. It's not a need for us. We know that we won the fight, as most people do. Like I say, so for us to go over there, the risk has to match the reward. If not, we look at it potentially being over here. If it's over here, it needs to be a big stadium fight, etc. I know that one of Tyson's dreams is to box in Old Trafford, but then again, I'm saying this, but I'm just making people aware. I haven't even sat down with Tyson to speak about this yet, so these are just my views.
We've only had Christmas, so...
We've just had Christmas, and I've not wanted to talk about all of it. Just wanted to have a nice bit of rest time. So these are my views, not what we've spoke about. So these are my views. I know that he would like to box at Old Trafford, which means that it'd have to be, obviously, out of the football season in the summer, which then means that Tyson would have to get out beforehand. But for me, I would like to see Joshua Wilder. I think that fight needs to happen. I want to see it. I think it'd be a great fight for as long as it lasts. And, you know, Tyson stepped up and done what he done. And I think it's time that them two step up. And Tyson's there to fight the winner. No problem. I think that Anthony's been having good matchups, but I think the public are demanding a great matchup now for him. He had a great matchup with Klitschko. Tyson had a great matchup with Klitschko. Wilder had a great matchup with Ortiz. Tyson and Wilder had a great matchup together. Anthony Joshua's had good matchups with Parker. Good matchup with Povetkin. Takam, so-so. Obviously, Takam was a late replacement to Pulev, which is a good matchup. And Dillian Whyte, good matchup, really good matchup. But we need and want a great matchup from him. And I think that's where the problem is. And, you know, they've not really mentioned, they've not made contact with us, I know that much. They've not made contact about making a fight with us. I know that he said, like you said there, he's interested in getting his hands on the WBC, and he wants the Wilder fight. I've given my views on how I see that fight, what's needed for that fight to get made. But that's where I feel that it's at for him. I feel that the public are demanding a great matchup, and like I say, although Dillian Whyte fight is a good matchup, a really good matchup, and I feel that Dillian Whyte deserves a world title shot. I think that the public want a great matchup, and it's about time them to get on, in my opinion.
Okay. So from what I'm hearing, you'd like to see Joshua Wilder box April 13th. Tyson has a stay busy fight and fights the winner for an undisputed fight.
Yeah, not even necessarily April the 13th, you know, whenever.
Well, that is the date booked, isn't it?
That's the date booked, but I've seen Eddie say it hasn't got to be that date. So it is what it is. I would like to see them two get on, and I'd like to see Tyson then box the winner. But then again, we haven't even sat down and had this chat. So where Tyson goes on what route we take, there might have been some offers flying around that I don't know about yet. I'll see him in the next couple of days, and we'll go from there. But I would like to see that because I want to see that fight. I want to see them two styles gel. I want to see that matchup, and I want to see that fight. And I'd like to see Tyson box the winner. We've seen Tyson and Wilder. Good fight, great fight. I'd love to see Joshua and Tyson, obviously. But I'd also like to see that fight, and that fight looks like it's more likely to be made than Tyson and Joshua at the minute. So.
Okay. Let's say Joshua Wilder does happen then. What sort of opponent does Tyson box?
That's something we have to sit down about, and you have to see where the rest of the land lies. Because if Joshua Wilder box, it rules both of them out. If Joshua Whyte box, it doesn't. Wilder's still open. There's still potential.
But say Joshua and Wilder are tied up. What does Tyson do?
Then you have to, like I say, you have to see where the land lies, and you have to see who's available, who wants to fight, and also at what sort of time of the year are they boxing. If it is April the 13th, which is not going to be done for April the 13th, I don't see it happening. Then we have to see how our schedule lies with other fighter schedule. It's something that we have to sit down and look at. We can't really say that yet. Obviously, we want a decent calibre of fighter, because like we've seen, Tyson performed better against a decent calibre fighter. But we definitely want the winner as well.
Of course, but obviously you'd plan to have a fight during that period when Joshua and Wilder are tied up. Would it be, I know you haven't obviously even thought about this, but would it be someone, I don't know, let me just throw some names at you. Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin, who else you got up there at the moment? Dominic Brazil. Would it be that sort of opponent? I.e. not elite, but world class?
Potentially, yeah, of course. Like I say, look, there's good matchups. Listen, there's some great matchups over here. Some really good matchups over here. Dilly and Whyte. There's some really good matchups. But we'll have to see where the land lies. I also know that Tyson's got some contractual obligations that he needs to take care of as well. So we have to have a look at everything. I don't know exactly how the land lies. I don't know how the land would lie in that situation. So you have to assess it as it comes around.
Okay, and let's go for scenario 2. Joshua and Whyte get their rematch on April 13th. Then I'm assuming it's more likely Fury and Wilder will have their rematch.
Same again though, it's the same thing whether they box or not. Wilder said that he'd rather box us again. He has said that. So Joshua isn't calling the shots. They're not calling the shots. We're calling the shots. Depends on what we want to do, and it depends on, like I say, the risk versus the reward. Because for us to go back over there again, which me personally I don't want to do. I don't want to go back.
Why
over
would
there.
you?
Exactly. After that's happened. Yeah. I'd rather not do that. I'm still very upset about it and disappointed about it, but it is what it is. I'd rather it over here, and like I say, if it's over here, it'd mean the summer, which means that we'd need a tick over first. So there's a lot to think about and a lot to discuss between us. But like I say, we've not had this discussion over the Christmas period. Just had a good bit of time off, a good bit of rest, and I'm looking forward to getting cracking.
I wouldn't mind Fury Wilder 2 at Old Trafford.
That'd be good.
That'd be
a
special.
good one. Yeah, it would be a good one. But then again, would the numbers be the same in America as it was? No. Over here,
No.
So you're losing revenue there potentially. And just quickly going back, it's just something I heard. I don't know how much fact it is. But I was told by the Showtime people that. So we're just talking about percentage splits and that with Joshua and Wilder and that, and I remember Eddie was saying if they do less than 1 million buys and this, that, and the other in America, they'll only do this. I heard from the Showtime people that Joshua Povetkin only done 16,000 on the zone. That's what I heard. And then so Tyson Wilder obviously done a hell of a lot more than that
on pay-per-view.
So there's everybody brings their piece of pie to the table, you know, and I think that it shouldn't be looked at so much about you're worth this and you're worth that. I bring this to the table, you bring that to the table. If you want to fight two champions, get it on. It's not hard to make, as we showed. But that was just an interesting point that I'd like to see if anybody does know if that is the case. I don't know.
Okay. Just going back to what you said earlier, Joshua Wilder should be 50-50 split. Say Joshua Fury were to box. I don't think it's going to happen. Let's say April 13th. 50-50 again?
I can't, like I say, I can't make decisions for Tyson or
But
for
just
any
in
fighters.
your opinion?
In my opinion, anything else at the fight wouldn't get made. I can tell you that. That's for sure. That's as much as I can say on that, really, because I know that Tyson never accepts anything less than that. And I think rightly so. For sure.
Okay. Moving on, we had the 2018 BBC Sports Personality of the Year Awards. What am I kidding with this? How did he not even get nominated?
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. BBC obviously aren't massive fans of boxing or whatever. I was again there. I said a few things maybe on Twitter, but I was very, very disappointed about that. It was what it was, though. What can you do? He was very. I was in Orlando actually. I kept looking on my phone. I was thinking he's gonna say something here. What if he says something? I was checking every 5 minutes. But I was very impressed with the speech that he gave, and then I was more disappointed the way they tried to get him to bite about if what would you say to Anthony Joshua, this, that, and the other, expecting Tyson to come out with one of his rants, but he was very professional, very classy, and that's the type of man he is. What people see in terms of when he does those sorts of things is he's selling a fight. He's selling a fight. He's got a job to do, and I was very impressed with him. I thought, and people are starting to see the real Tyson, the real side of him, the side that people want to see. But like I say, and if the fight's not close to being made, he's not gonna bother. He's not gonna bother doing all that for nothing. If a fight's close to being made, you'll see the antics, the classic Tyson Fury. But
that's the right way to go about it.
Listen, he's proven he's done well, but he kept it classy. I was impressed, very impressed, and he looked very smart and very good. And Paris looked well, and the rest of Shane and Huey and their wives, they looked smart, looked good.
Forget the BBC. Let's talk about the Ring Mag.
Yeah.
Obviously, you been nominated as well for Trainer of the Year, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Tyson has won Comeback of the Year and Round of the Year, joint obviously with Wilder at 12th round out in LA. So he's not that boring after all, is he, Tyson?
Listen, he's a character, and like I say again, the public are starting to see him now for how he really is. It took somebody like Deontay Wilder to bring the best out in Tyson.
Good dance partner.
Good dance partner, and people are appreciating him now and his skills, and people are seeing more of his personality, which is paying off, and I'm pleased for it. And do you know what it is, Tyson? Yeah, Tyson. It's hard to explain. He's people have this perception of him, and I think sometimes it can be just through the way he looks. But he's an absolute gentleman, a proper gentleman, and a first class man. He's got a lovely family. And another thing I want to say is, I wanted that win for Tyson just as much as I wanted that win for Tyson. I wanted it for his family, for Paris and his kids, all the rest of them. A lovely family. I've lived with them for a year, so I've grown very, very close to them. And also on top of that, John, his dad, Shane and Huey, and his brother John. That it means so much to them, so much to them, and actually, that ring walk that you videoed in Belfast, there's a moment in that makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up.
What moment's that?
When Shane calls out, "Go on, Tyson," and I know how much passion's there with them boys, and it means so much to them, and it means as much to me for Tyson as it does for them, because obviously when you live with someone for that long and you that close to someone, you get close to their family as well, and I'm just so pleased that the public are now seeing Tyson for who he is, and because they've always wanted that. They've always wanted the public to see what Tyson is really like, and now they're starting to see it. It makes the family happy, and makes me happy.
Well, the family's great. I spent a week, obviously, in Belfast, only a week, but just normal people. That's all it is. It's just normal people. You wouldn't think they're family of Tyson Fury, the profile Tyson's got. Even Tyson himself, as you said, he's just a normal bloke at the end of the day. So it is good in a sort of way that knockdown happened and he got back up. Not from your point of view, and Tyson, you don't want to get knocked down, but all the videos going around, he's become a hero sort of. So yeah, from that point of view, it's actually good that happened.
And they've all got a very good heart, Their heart's in the right place, a heart of gold, and like I say, you grow very close to him. When I was in Orlando, Tyson's little boy, he loves Toy Story. So when
Prince? Is that Prince?
Not Prince. Little Tyson, his name is.
Okay.
When I was in Orlando, they had a Toy Story thing there. So I'd send him the pictures, and Paris would send a video back of little Tyson, and like I say, you grow close to him. I'm just pleased that the family and Tyson's being seen as they are now, as the true selves.
Just moving back to you, as I said, you got nominated for Ring Trainer of the Year. When's that going to be announced? Do you know?
It was announced today.
Who got it?
Anatoly Lomachenko.
Oh, of course. I think probably deserved as well. Usyk got Fight of the Year. No
complaints.
Does
he train Usyk though? I thought
he does Lowe and Usyk.
I thought Ross Amber was training. Well, I know Ross Amber cornered him for the Bellew fight. I'm pretty sure of it. Anyway, I don't know 100%. But listen, Lomachenko put in 2 fantastic performances. And listen, to be nominated with them top names, I'm honoured and humbled, like I said. And listen, it's nice. But like I say, my goal, my job is to bring the best out of my fighters. And if I do that, then you're going to get rewarded with little things like this, and it's nice, it's good.
I thought you weren't cut out for the job though, Ben.
Well, apparently so. If you listen to everybody on Twitter, you wouldn't go far, that's for sure.
Well, you say on Twitter, obviously you're going to get the idiots on Twitter like Steve from Hull, saying you can't cut. But there was people in boxing, a lot of people in boxing, pundits who've been working for years, etc., who doubted you a lot. I'll say it's Johnny Nelson. He's come out and said, he got it totally wrong. Eddie Hearn's been the same, but a lot of people did doubt you. I mean, not just on Twitter, but people who work in the industry. So to be nominated for Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year must give you a bit of self-satisfaction.
Yeah, listen, all those things are nice and they're all good, but anybody that spent time with me in the gym wouldn't have doubted me and knows, where my level is and what I'm capable of, and like I say, all their opinions, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. My job is to get the best out of my fighter. I believed I did that with both Isaac and Tyson, and that's the main thing.
Definitely. As I said, Tyson won 2 awards. He was nominated for 5 though, wasn't he?
Nominated for 5, yeah.
Including Fight of the Year, which, as I said, Usyk won. Deservedly so, I guess, as well. He's had a splendid year.
So Tyson's now won Fighter of the Year, Upset of the Year, Comeback of the Year, Round of the Year, as Ring Magazine.
This is overall.
Overall,
yeah. English title, Irish title, British.
He's won some
all the world titles. Should have the WBC.
Should have the WBC. I like that little video you done with Eddie where that was good. Oh yeah, you're right there.
Of course, the lineal title as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Just picking this back up again with Ben Davison. We've done an hour now. I think we've probably got about 10-15 minutes left, I think, worth of questions.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? I don't know. We could go for another hour and a half. Yeah, I was mentioning, what was I saying? Usyk won Fight of the Year. He's had an amazing year.
Amazing year. Yeah. No arguments there. Cleaned up the cruiserweight division. And obviously a fantastic win against Tony Bellew.
All on the road as well, every fight.
Yeah. He's a special talent. Be interesting to see how he gets on in the heavyweight division.
I was going to ask you that, yeah.
But we're yet to see.
I mean, as you said, we've got to see how he does against sort of the B-level opponents at heavyweight, Usyk. But from a technical point of view, he's so good. Him and Tyson, that's an interesting fight. Obviously, there's a big size difference and stuff, but...
Yeah, that'd play out there.
Yeah.
Especially with Usyk's style. What he done with Bellew was he kept his front foot on him and kept him under pressure mentally without giving him the distance. Although Bellew had some success early on, that constant pressure...
like Lomachenko does as well.
It's very similar. That constant pressure took his toll on Bellew. He wasn't quite used to boxing in the style that he tried to adapt to for that fight. But against the bigger men, I don't think Usyk wouldn't be able to do that because of the reach advantage, etc., etc. But it'd be interesting to see against some other styles and some smaller heavyweights how he gets on there. And it would be good to put him in with a test against one of the bigger heavyweights and see how he gets on.
Definitely. Last one on Tyson actually, he announced, well, I don't know if this is official, but I saw sort of a UK tour he's doing. So I think it was from January to March, is that right?
February
and March, so just around the UK, the whole of the UK. How's that going to sort of impact his training schedule?
Well, we've not got any schedule in place yet. Okay. We're going away for training in the next couple of days. So we'll sit down and have a chat then. Like I say, we've not discussed about work, no offers on the table, not got anything in plans yet. So we'll assess it all when it comes to it. And that's it really. That's we'll just take it step by step and in our stride.
Right, I want to talk about someone else, Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah.
See him put a video out yesterday. Not yesterday, what I was talking about last week. Where he basically said Tyson Fury has inspired him to sort of come back. He was at a point again where he was thinking, do I come back to boxing or not? Obviously he boxed the other night. Been over a year now since he boxed Lemieux. But that's good to see that, again, Tyson's not inspiring the common man, but inspiring someone like Billy Joe Saunders as well.
Yeah, and Billy Joe's done the same back with Tyson, you know. And Tyson said to me as well, and Paris both said to me, that when Tyson was down, Billy Joe would always ring him up, always say, I'm going away on training, do you want to come? Let's get to the gym, let's go to the gym together, etc., etc. And when we went on a training camp over to Spain, and the three of us was there, that was when I realised they're a fantastic partnership and work really, really well together. And, you know, Billy Joe at the time was helping motivate Tyson, inspiring Tyson. Obviously invited Tyson over to that training camp, and Tyson's obviously returned the favour there. He's helping Billy Joe get back motivated and wanting to get back in the ring, which was important. Forget what weight Billy Joe come in at. He come in at a weight that he didn't have to take any weight off, didn't have to make a weight. He was comfortable where he was. It was just nice for him to maintain that, not go anything above that. Nice for him to maintain that, get under the lights, and you know, at least he's done that this year, and he can step on and look for something else in the next year. But mainly, it can just help him maintain that weight.
Definitely. Obviously, with Billy Joe, we've recently seen sort of all the clips with him in Little Denver. It's tough to watch. I'm going to be honest, very tough to watch.
Do you know what he's saying with Billy Joe? Billy Joe, I do think sometimes, and I think he's a very funny character. But the same thing, let me tell you, he's got a heart of gold as well, Billy Joe, and he does things like that. This time it's been seen, but I've seen him, hand on my heart, I've seen him do things like that many times. Many times he does a hell of a lot for charity. You know, he does lots of things, Billy Joe, where even if it's small things, that he never mention, and only the person that he's helped out will know that Billy Joe helped him out. But he does things like that a lot, and it's a shame that the public had a little turn like they did on that thing. He said that what he done was wrong, but he's done a hell of a lot that he doesn't brag about and doesn't get put out, that people don't know about. And you know, listen, he's a good mate of mine, Billy Joe, and he's the best middleweight in the world, that's for sure. I don't doubt that for a second. I think he'll beat all of them.
I want to see that Golovkin fight. Listen,
he'll do a number on Golovkin, that's for sure. I see it. If I could draw somebody up style wise for Billy Joe, it's Golovkin. The performance that he put on against David Lemieux would have been nice to see him keep going with that, but it is what it is. But that show there as well, what Billy Joe boxed on, very good show as well. Some good, very good fights on it. And Tommy Fury got out on the show
under Ricky Hatton.
And I'm very impressed with Tommy, to be honest with you. Very impressed the way he takes it all in his stride, the way he deals with the media. And he's got a very, very good work ethic, which he would have to have, because John wouldn't waste his time and let him waste his time if he didn't. And Tommy's got potential, let me tell you. I've seen him in the gym, obviously, being in Ricky's gym and that. He's got a lot of potential, Tommy, and I think he can go on to do good things.
Okay. Just back to Billy Joe with Denver. As you said, you're so upset about the decision out in LA, and you know, we get caught up in so many things on a day-to-day basis that we moan about. Or, you know, I seen you hoovering the floor when we come in, and you couldn't get it out properly, and you was moaning, and my train was late today, and I was getting stressed out. But when you see things like that kid Denver and Billy Joe, and you think that was his last Christmas potentially, it just puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
100%. But me and Tyson will have talks like this a lot, deep conversations that, you know, it's all these things are nice, but there's no more expensive commodity in the world than time. And it's the one thing that we probably take most advantage of. And little things like that help remind you that, you know, that those facts, that it is the most expensive commodity in the world. And what Billy Joe done there has probably made that been a highlight of that lad's year, or maybe his life.
Yeah.
I know I saw when he said to Billy Joe, "I'll never forget you."
I couldn't watch that.
You know, and I just thought to myself, he's got away with people, Billy Joe, as well. You know, he's I don't know, it's hard to explain, but same thing. Like I said, he's got a heart of gold, and he would have done that whether there was cameras there or not. Mark my words, he would have done that whether there was cameras there or not. And you know, because he doesn't brag about things and do things and film things all the time, people don't see it all the time, but he does things like that a lot. And listen, it was an eye opener for a lot of people, and it's important that, you know, that those things go on and people do see things like that and are reminded that, you know, like you say, small little stresses don't really matter on the scale of things. And it was definitely tough to watch, that's for sure.
Because as I say, when you talk about issues and problems, it doesn't really get bigger than that for his parents. So a big shout out to them.
100%.
And he was on a walk with Billy Joe today.
I saw it, and there was everybody dressed up as the action figures and all the rest of it, and very good.
Hopefully he had a good day.
He looked like he did, anyway.
He definitely, yeah. Couple of more things. Isaac Lowe, how is he?
He's good. He rang me earlier. I missed the call though, so I called him back. I was very impressed with his performance out there. Boxed to orders. When he got himself a WBC International. One thing I do want to say is I saw an interview with the Walsh brothers, who I respect massively, and I know that what Ryan said is correct, that they were due to box each other, and we was training for that fight. And I completely understand he put himself through a training camp which cost money, and I had to pull Isaac out of that fight because obviously I couldn't be in two places at once. And so I had to pull him off of that and got him on the... Tyson got him on the undercard, and he boxed for the WBC International just to help Isaac get himself a ranking, which he deserves and he's rightfully earned. But I want to apologise to Ryan and the Walsh brothers for that. Obviously, Isaac's under development at the minute, and it wouldn't have been ideal for me to leave him without his trainer. So I had to make a decision there. But it was a good performance from Ryan as well against Reece Bellotti. I watched that. That was a good fight. And like Ryan said, I believe he's a world level fighter, Ryan, but he's stuck at British level, and it's the sort of fight that our lad's gonna take because he's a risk without much reward. So I feel for him. It's a tough one for him, but he's a world level fighter, and I hope he gets a shot. Maybe at Kiko Martinez for the European.
I think that's happening.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'd definitely like to see that. Should be a great scrap as well. And then it'd be good to see him on a world level. If he beats Kiko Martinez, puts himself there, maybe a Carl Frampton fight or something like that. That would be a good one.
If Carl continues, we don't know.
Carl continues. Me personally, I think he should. You know, some people saying that Carl's shot, etc., etc. I don't see it at all, to be honest. I watched that fight. Me personally, I don't think that Carl was... What's the word? Substantially prepared. Not physically. Physically, he was very well prepared. Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis, great trainers. I don't think he was substantially prepared mentally for that fight. I think that... And sometimes it's a shame because you can go through a game plan and go through tactics over and over and over and over, and you'll drill it in the gym. But if a fighter's got something in their head and they're made their decision, you're not going to do nothing about it. And I believe that Carl thought that he'd be able to demand Josh's respect with power and be able to same time punch with Josh, with Josh's suggestive non-puncher's record, mixed with the fact that he wears those winning gloves, which are more of a protective glove, not known as a puncher's glove. I think that Carl thought he'd be able to same time punch and demand Josh's respect with power, and obviously when that didn't happen, I don't think he was mentally prepared to have to use as much of his arsenal as he would have had to have used to win that fight. And I'm not taking nothing away from Josh, because Josh won the fight and won the fight very well, and I'm very impressed with him.
What a year he's had as well.
What a year. And he would have been a contender for Fighter of the Year as well. A good win against Josh Selby, which I was at.
Lee
Selby, sorry. And
Carl.
And Carl, you know, he boxed very well. Went in there with a game plan, got the job done. And I'm not saying if I felt that Carl had used the rest of his arsenal, which I felt like he could have used, it would have meant that he would have won the fight. He wouldn't have won the fight, sorry. But what I'm saying is, I think that it wasn't the best of Carl, what we saw there, and I think that's the reason why. But if he was a shot fighter, he wouldn't have even completed that fight. He wouldn't have got through it. He got hurt a couple of times, fought through it, showed plenty of heart. But I think watching it, I can see where he was at mentally. He was tense, looking to load up and looking to take Josh out, and like I say, use his power to make Josh demand his respect. And it didn't work, you know. Rather than use his feet, his feints and his IQ, like I said, I just don't think he was mentally prepared to have to use that arsenal, which obviously he would have needed to win that fight. It showed.
Okay, last one on Isaac Lowe. As we said, Ryan Walsh, I think, is vacating the British title and is looking for that Martinez fight. Jordan Gill, a potential opponent for next year?
Potentially. Jordan's a very good fighter as well. One of the best prospects in the country, I think. It'd be a good matchup as well. The only thing is, I'm sure that Jordan will be looking to get something done in the early part of the year, and like I say, we have to assess where Tyson's going, because it might be the same scenario where if we do end up going over there, I can't be in two places at once, so that means that Isaac will have to come over. Yeah. And Tyson likes Isaac, being a training partner with him as well. They work very well together. So, you know, they work very well in the gym together. They're very competitive. It's good to watch and fun to watch that Tyson will always try and beat what the featherweight's doing, and he'll want to be quicker and want to be faster and want to do more. But it's good, you know. And listen, Tyson's conditioning showed in that fight. How many people do you see get knocked down? Everybody said his body would give up on him. And I've not seen somebody get knocked down like that and get up as clear and as conscious as he did.
That's true.
So that was down to his conditioning. And Isaac's a good member of the team there and helps. Like I say, it's good to watch. They work well together. So Jordan Gill's a really good fighter. And there's also things that I still want to work with Isaac. I don't want to throw him into too much of a test straight away. Still certain things I want to work on him with. And that's just me being honest. Certain that he's under development. I don't want to go put Isaac out there when I don't feel like I've got him to the level that I feel like I can get him to. Especially on a technical aspect. When we're working on things. So maybe Jordan Gill will go and if he vacates, Jordan Gill will go and box somebody for that British, and then maybe we'll be able to make that fight, or there might be another route, and we'll have to see what goes on and where we're going. And you know, there's a lot to look at, but it's been the Christmas period, so we've just had a good bit of time off, really.
Okay, cool. Brings us on to the Q&A section.
Yeah.
The last bit of the interview. You had a lot of questions for you.
Yeah.
A lot of questions. Considering I've only got about 5,000 followers on Twitter, I think you got 99 questions.
Yeah.
So I've selected 4 or 5
that
we're going to do. So yeah, let's get cracking. Everyone, thank you for sending your questions. Unfortunately, I don't have time to read them all out, but here we go. Gareth Jones says, did Ben ever consider throwing the towel in when Tyson went down? I'm assuming in round 12.
I didn't, because you can't throw the towel in California State Athletic Commission. But if I felt I would have needed to stop the fight, if it was in that position, but a very experienced ref and a quality ref in Jack Reese, so I had a lot of faith in him to make the right decision. But like I say, I've explained what happened. I wanted to have a closer look at Tyson by the time had managed to come out of the wrestling match. He was back to his feet. I saw him take a few steps to the side. I knew he had his senses and he was clear and ready to go. So there was no problem. No, didn't. Okay.
Sean Hind. I recently saw Ben in Orlando. Ask him what his favourite ride was.
Favourite ride was probably the Avatar ride.
Okay.
But I've got a good little... So the queue for this Avatar ride was about 130 minutes, something like that. Thought I'm not queuing up for that. So stepped in through the normal entrance and you got this, what they call fast pass or something like that.
Yeah, fast track sort of thing.
Yeah, like 4 minutes or something it was. So I got into the first queue and I thought, I'm not doing it. So I jumped over the railings. I said to the missus, get over. She was going, no. I said, get over the railings. No. I said, get over. She got over in the end. Walked up, but I didn't realise when you get to the top, you have to put the cards on something to show your fast pass.
Right.
You put them on a touch thing and it flashes up green or something. So anyway, got to the top and she had the cards, but the woman just turned around, and for the split second she turned around, she went bang, touched them on the things. They flashed up blue if you haven't got a fast pass. But by the time she'd done it, she hadn't seen it. So she turned around and was like, through there. Managed to get on it.
Got it right.
Yeah, got on it in about 4 minutes. So it was a good touch. So and
Fair
with
play.
it was a very, very good ride. Worth it, but not worth 130 minutes worth of time. So
fair play. I can't even pronounce this. Carlo Lucchese. Sorry if I got that wrong. Can Ben ever see himself working with Freddie Roach again after what Freddie said in the public eye in terms of Ben's training credentials?
He didn't have anything to say about my training credentials. He just stated that he would have liked to have seen a few different things, like I said, there's no problem, so I don't see why not. Legend in the game. We got on well while we was there, and like I said, every trainer's gonna have their own philosophy.
Niall Doran, we've covered the first part of the question, so I'm just going to ask the last part. Who does he view as a trickier fight for Tyson, Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua?
Deontay Wilder, stylistically. That was the toughest fight for Tyson, Deontay Wilder, and he passed with flying colours, I believe. After looking at it, I know why he got caught with a shot. And you know, it's not a tough thing to correct, and I'm sure the same thing would happen, but more decisively with in a rematch if it potentially happens.
Okay, a lot of people ask this after the fight out in LA. Have any fighters contacted you in terms of working with you? Yeah,
I have had a couple, yeah. But at the same time, a high profile fighter, it's difficult because my loyalty lies with Tyson, and at this moment in time, like I say, if we are to box in America, I can't be in two places at once, and I would never say to Tyson, you'll have to do this time on your own and I'll come back. You know, we've gone through this journey together and we'll be on this journey together till the end, and so that would be a difficult one. If Tyson was to add a date and was only to box in the UK, then yeah, there wouldn't be a problem. Obviously, like I say, if he's to go to America, it makes it more difficult. If that high profile fighter's fighting in England, Tyson's fighting in America, I couldn't split my time, and my loyalties lie with Tyson. But you never know. We'll have to see. But like I say, for the minute, I've got my hands full, that's for sure, with Tyson.
Okay. Reese.m. Do other trainers talk to each other regarding tips or new fighters in their stable?
It's like friends, you know. You get friends in the boxing world, and you'll discuss things, and you know, you might say, "Oh, did you see so and so? He did this, and I liked how he did that," or "I thought we should have done this. I thought we should have done that," or "How's so and so getting on?" You know, it's like anything in work. You make new friends and that. And after the fight, I spoke to a few trainers. I said, "How did you score it? How did you score it?" And pretty much the same thing come back every time. And I had some messages before going to America to say, from some good trainers, top trainers, well-known trainers, to say, "You've done a fantastic job." You know.
So like any other workplace, basically.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly.
Okay. Last one. His name is actually on Twitter, the Gypsy King. Will Tyson Fury put together a weight loss plan for those struggling?
No, because although I'm sure he'd love to, it's hard to put together a weight loss plan because you don't know everybody's, you know, body and health, and some people might have disabilities, etc., etc. So it's a difficult one, and he's got his hands full being a professional boxer. And this is one thing with Tyson: a lot of people will be professional boxers, then do their commercial work, etc., etc. But Tyson struggles with that side of things. You know, he's a professional boxer. He's not a celebrity, so he wants to do his boxing and he wants to go home and be dad. So it's difficult for him with all the rest of it, all the commercial work and that. But he's getting better with it, and but that's what he likes. You know, going away for training helps with that. He can spend time with his family. We can get started training, and it's all good. But he's not a celebrity and going to bring out a Christmas fat loss DVD.
A lot of us could do with it though after Christmas.
Not half. Me myself, I've got on about 1.5 stone, 2 stone since working with Tyson.
All right, Ben. Last thing that's popped in my mind. Have you got anything to give away?
To give away?
Yeah.
What do you mean give away?
A signed out or a T-shirt or?
What have I got?
Someone, if we can hashtag this interview, and I'll pick a winner at random.
I've got.
So we need to think of a hashtag, and we need to think of something to give away.
Tell you, I'll show you. 1 second.
Go on.
We got. One second. We've got an official Gypsy King t-shirt with the BT Sport box office, worn at the weigh-in, and we'll put that up.
Definitely. What should people hashtag it like?
Hashtag it.
You've got to help me out here.
We will hashtag it. Hashtag Big Corey. Big Corey.
Getting the spelling right. So yeah, Corey.
Okay. Big Corey. And what are they going to have to do?
Right, so basically, hashtag share the interview.
Yeah.
Right, so go on YouTube, get the link for this, copy and paste it into a tweet. On the tweet, put hashtag Big Corey, courtesy of Ben Davison, and at me on Twitter, at UMAR_IFL. You can at Ben as well, although your mentions might start flooding. Yeah. So don't worry about that, but make sure you hashtag it Big Corey, and then just one random winner I'm going to select.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I'll, sort of the winner, I'll DM and then send it out to them.
Sounds good.
Cool. Why Big Corey?
Big Corey, I don't know, first thing that popped in my head, so...
It's a bit worrying.
What else can you hashtag?
No, we'll stick with that.
We'll go with Big Corey.
Yeah, we'll stick with that. It's the first one to come to mind, so we'll stick
so
with
it'll be like hashtag at UMAR IFL hashtag Big Corey.
Oh, okay. This has been Umar Ahmed for IFL TV with trainer of the Gypsy King Tyson Fury at Ben Davison's house in association with
MTK Global.
Ben Davison, thank you very much.
No problem, mate.